Now, if you're a former athlete, do you remember having parents in the stand telling the coach to put their son or daughter in the game, telling them to put them in for the biggest plays? Now, imagine this on the biggest level possible. Now, LeBron James, you recently saw in a viral clip that he had some words to exchange with Stephen A. Smith. Now, it's not too sure what exactly was said. There was some AI translation saying what probably was said, but regardless of what it was, it involved him and his son, Bronny.
I'ma say it one time, bro. Keep my son out of this, bro. I'ma say it one time, bro. Keep my son out of this, bro.
Now, the problem isn't that he's sticking up for his son. Any parent would do that. But it's about the magnitude, because when we talk back to at Little League or even high school levels, when parents are getting involved, telling the coach what to do, you can see that this dynamic isn't the best, not just because it interferes with the dynamic of the team, but also the pressure that's put on the child. Now, we're talking about the NBA here. Now, whatever you believe as far as is he good enough or not good enough, that's not what this video is about, but it's about the mental aspects. Let's start with something called athletic identity. Now, this is when you identify as an athlete. Now, obviously, if you play sports, you're gonna have a decent level of athletic identity. Now, it doesn't mean that you don't have an identity outside of sports, but typically the higher the level is, the more you identify as an athlete, meaning most of what you do is around sport, your day-to-day life, your friends, your social circle, your thoughts. And this is a good thing because you want to be engaged. But the problem is if you have too high of an athletic identity, then you don't really have much outside of sport. And then you tie your own self-value and worth and personality to sport. For example, if you were to lose or have a bad game, you're going to think, oh, I'm not worth it. Now, going back to Bronny, he has to deal with a lot of stuff inside the sport, his dad's status and living in the shadow of what he is. And also he has his own personal issues. He had health issues. So all this adds up. And the more the athletic identity interferes with your personal identity, more problems can arise. Now, going to the fact of a parent interfering with the coach or the game, this case, it's everyone seeing it. Most draft picks this year don't have their dad at the games, let alone talking to commentators or other coaches about their son. So if you add that in the mix of him having to live up to the shadows of his dad and also not being like the other players, because imagine when you're embarrassed, your parents are saying stuff, oh, my son is the best, my daughter's the best, you're embarrassed, oh, dad, be quiet. Put that on the level of millions of people. Everyone's talking about this in the sports world and they already have their opinions, the fact that he's even there because they argue that he doesn't belong. But all this put together, it puts a lot of stress and pressure. And we talk about how this affects us from the mental performance side. It deviates from our better performance because the more thoughts process that's not on the actions we need to do, the more likely we're not going to achieve it. Now, can you still execute and have a good game? Sure. But I wouldn't want to put the person in a position to not have the best possibility because they're so focused on news articles, commentators, coaches, other players taunting them. Hey, daddy's boy. These are just extra things that clog up the cognitive load, and the higher that is, it's easier to make mistakes, to get anxious, get in your own head. So all in all, the big takeaway from this is, as anyone, whether you're a parent or an athlete, is give your children space, be there, be supportive, but not to the point where it can interfere with their play or cause social issues. Because in this case, the social media, years ago when this happened with pro players, not many people could get to them because there was no way you can just message your favorite athlete or least favorite athlete. I work with some pros who've shown me some of their DMs and it looks crazy, from anything where ill-advised advice to death threats. So imagine nowadays when that's happening on and on, especially with the younger generation, which Bronny is a part of. So think twice before you give someone so much pressure, whether it's LeBron, Bronny, or Stephen A. Smith, because you don't know what they're going through. And at the end of the day, it's all part of the process to get your mind right. So let me know in the comments below, who do you think was right, wrong, in your opinion? I honestly am neutral on this, but I would love to know your thoughts. Thanks for tuning in.